the Prime Minister, I would like to totally agree with this House that this House would heavily tax manufacturing corporations that automate the majority of their workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very crucial and essential motion that we need to talk about, that in this era we have the massive technologies which is already applied in such industries all over the world. And ladies and gentlemen, then we have the status quo, that we have the co-status in this case, that should we apply the high tech to this manufacturers industry who apply the automation. And ladies and gentlemen, before we are talking too far about this motion, too general, then let's make the limitation. That first we have the tax. The tax is that what the money, the several nominals of money that the industries need to pay to the government. And in this case, we make the limitation that in this case, the tax is about the workers' tax, ladies and gentlemen. And second, we have the automation. Automation is implementation of technologies in the industrial wheel of life. And so on, we have the manufacturers, is that those parties, industries and corporations who make and produce the products in machines, using machine. And that means the automation in manufacturers industries means that they will use major technologies on the industrial wheel instead of the human workforce, ladies and gentlemen. And we have some arguments why we need to heavily tax the manufacturing corporations that automate majority of their workforce. That first, we can limit again that the industrial, we can take example that they are food industries. The industries such as food industries already used to have a lot of human workers to do the will of industries. And what if we replace them into technologies? Then the human workforce who used to work in the industries won't get their salary anymore. And also the industrials, we can make some cases that the industry A still use the human workforce and the industry B already minimize their human workforce and use the technological, the automation on their machines instead of using the human resources. And ladies and gentlemen, if we apply the same nominal of tax in both of them, we won't get that equality and we won't get that balance in our economy system. And that's why we need to think and we need to guarantee that we will make a stable, we will make a equal in economy system, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why we need to apply the high tax in some manufacturers industries who automation the will of industries to prevent the different stage of both industries, ladies and gentlemen. And second, we have to know that by applying high technologies, some industries may overuse it. And that's why we need to apply the high tax on it. Because by applying the high tax, we can regulate the use of technologies in the case that automation industrials. Because ladies and gentlemen, with the high tax, the industry owner will think a lot of times, will think many times before overusing the technologies. So they still choosing the best things and use the human workforce. So they won't overuse the technologies. So we can regulate them using the high tax, ladies and gentlemen. And third, the high tax will include such service to those manufacturers industries. Ladies and gentlemen, we can place the industries like us, the society, that if we pay the tax to the government, that the government will give such a service to us. And in this case for industries, the government will give to physical security, to law and police support, because those aspects are very important and essential to the industries to make their industries still balanced and so on. Then the government will help them, and also in the aspect of economy, the government will help them to do the export and import. In the case, because of many people, many countries, sometimes they restrict and make it hard, so the government will help the industrial owner, the industrial manufacturers to do the export and import. So yeah, the government and the industrial will help each other to build the stable and a good economical system. And fourth, the high tax needs to be paid to gain welfare society. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about the welfare, the society in this case of applying an automation technology in the industries. Because in Indonesia itself, there are a lot of people who used to work in the industries. And what if we replace them to machine? Then they will lose their work, they will lose their salary, they won't get paid anymore. So that's why we need to think about the welfare, ladies and gentlemen. And if we apply the high tax, then the industry pay the high tax, then the government can use the tax to build the infrastructure. So we can build the welfare society, we can build the welfare citizens using the tax, using the high tax. Yes, in the same route, by developing the infrastructure, developing the economical cycle, and also developing the welfare of society, we can do it together. And with applying the high tax, the industry can help the government, and the government can help the industry, and the government can help the society. And that's the point of why we need to apply the high tax to avoid non-balance in life of economical life, social, and so on, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, some of these reasons and arguments are why I totally agree that this motion, and about how this house would apply the high tax into the manufacturers corporation that automate the majority of their workforce, is that to balance, to regulate, and to give the service to the industries and manufacturers. Ladies and gentlemen, the technologies are very important to us, and that's why, for once again, I would like to totally agree that this house would heavily tax manufacturing corporations that automate majority of their workforce. That's all from me. Thank you very much.